Well, today we're going to go over Quick Query, and the objective of this webinar is to learn what is Quick Query, learn how to use Quick Query, and learn how to make Quick Query views. So what is Quick Query? Quick Query is an ad hoc tool used to query the Microsoft Dynamics SL database. You can view, filter, sort, and or remove or add or remove columns, and then also export the resulting data to Excel. Quick Query comes with over 100 base query views, so you don't have to worry about creating stuff on your own. There's already been over 100 of them out there created that you can build upon. Of course, you can also create your own or create filter ones based on the base queries. Create custom queries, including custom tables and third-party products. So some terminology: a SQL query view, that refers to the Microsoft SQL Server database view, which presents a more user-friendly representation of the underlying data in the tables and columns. These views can be based on a single table or a join of multiple tables. The base query view, that's a view that points to a SQL query view and contains information that is required to display in the Quick Query. A filter query view is a filter query view refers to the result of the user changing a base query view by applying filters, sorting, and column specifications such as hiding, order, or renaming the columns. The filter query view has its own name, description, and is typically a subset of the base query view columns or records. There's also the feature for a drill down program. The program or application such as AP document maintenance can be launched by right-clicking in the query view. You set it up as part of the base query view, and it allows you to open up screens or other programs when you're in the Quick Query view. Some of the basic features of Quick Query: there are 100, like I said before, over 100 base queries out of the box. You can reorder, remove, or rename columns. It also includes filtered searching. You can open up a drill down program. You can export the results to Excel. You can also copy the rows out and paste it into anything else, even Excel. And you can also save filtered query views. So what I'm going to do is show a demo on ways to use Quick Query.
This is my point of view. We set up, and usually when they're set up, I don't change it. However, it's on the form today, and it's just convenient that if you need to make that change, it's there. But it's, if you're going to have
So we'll go ahead and get into SL, and then we'll go to the Quick Query module group. And from here we can see we have quick queries for all the different modules. We have administration. Those include ones such as access, rights detail, the quick view catalog entries, and companies. We also have financials, which is going to cover the AP, AR, bank rec, cash manager, general ledger, and payroll modules. Foundation, you're going to have currency manager. In inventory, that's going to cover quick queries for inventory, inventory replenishment, bill of material, work order. Under orders, you're going to have order management, purchasing, and requisitions. Field service is going to be your service dispatch, service contracts, equipment maintenance, flat rate pricing. And then lastly, projects, going to give all your project information, your contract maintenance, flexible billings, project budgeting, project controller, time and expense, and communicator. So you can see there are quite a few views directly out of the box. So now let's say I want to take a look at accounts. So I can just go here and go to the general ledger and then click on accounts. That's going to open up the Quick Query viewer. And we can see here that we have fields for things such as the account number, account type, whether or not it's active, the class ID, description, project account category, currency, unit of measure, etc. And all these fields are defined on however the SQL query view is created. So while we're in here, let's say that I'd only like to look at accounts that have the class ID of liability. Well, one way I can do that is I can go over here to the filter, the search filter, and instead of account number, I can change it to class ID. And then I can start typing in liabilities. You notice as I start typing, it's going to automatically filter my results. Okay, now let's say I need to add, filter on multiple views, not just one. So what I can do is then expand the filter area by clicking the expand button, and now I have an option to add filters. So what I can do here is, let's say that I want to look where I only want to look for liability accounts that are active. So I could add a filter here. I want to select and then we're going to do active is 1. So we're going to make sure they're active. If I want to add another filter, I can just click the add filter. And this one is going to be, we're going to change that to class ID. And then is. And then here we're going to do liability. And now when I click down the grid, now it's going to filter. Now I'm down to 74 rows. I was at 300 and some before this. Now I'm just looking at my active liability accounts. So now I get the information I want. So now let's say I want to save this out as a filtered view so I can look at it later. But first I want to do some work with some of the columns. So first of all, since I've already filtered my account as where active is 1, I really don't need the active field in there. So I can just right click in there and say remove column. Now that removes a column from my view. And now let's say I want to remove a couple different columns. I can actually just right click on any column and select choose columns. So from here it's going to give me my choose columns window. What this window is showing over on the left-hand side is all my available columns. So these are all the columns that have been defined in the SQL view that's related to this quick query. On the right-hand side, we have the selected columns. So those are all the columns that are currently being displayed in the quick query view. I also have options to add, remove from one side to the other. I can move them up and down. I could reset them, or I can clear them all. So let's say I don't really need currency ID. So I'll remove that, and I really don't need unit of measure, so I'm going to remove that. And then I also want to have the description up underneath in the second field after the account number, so I can actually move that up. And now that looks good, so I'll go ahead and click OK. Now I have my view the way that I want to see it, with just the fields that I want to view. So now I need to save my quick query. So I'm going to click Save, and it's going to come up to the Save Filtered Query View. It's going to have the quarter view name. I'm just going to leave that the same. Also want to just put in filter in front of the QQ_account, which is the name of the base quick query. But for the description, I'm actually going to go ahead and change the description to liability accounts only, or active liability accounts only. I have the option to make it available to all users, or if I wanted to, I could uncheck the all users and assign it available to either a group or a user. Again, if I select one of those values, then I can drop down the list and select, in this case, whatever group, or if I was to do user, I could select the different users. But in this case, I'm just going to go for all users, and I'm going to click OK. So now that says saved my filter quick query. So if I close out of here, look down here accounts, I notice I don't have anything down there. I'll go ahead and close out of SL and reopen it up, so that regenerates the menu. So now if I go back to Quick Query, go back to my financials, I can now see that underneath, on my GL underneath accounts, I now have active liability accounts only. And then I can open that view up, and it's going to go right to my filter view that I created and show the information that I have there. Also, if I close out of here, I can then go to the regular base query, which is accounts. And then if I click on the accounts up here, I can actually see that my accounts is my base query, and then from here I can also see that I have an active liability account, or active liability accounts only. And I can also access it from there. So even if I'm in the base view, I can still go back and view my filter quick query. So now let's say that, okay, I've created that, but whatever reason I need to delete that filter quick query. Well, what I can do is then open up, and if you're going to delete any filter quick queries, you need to go to the base query first. So you have to open up the accounts base query, click on accounts and select my active liability accounts only, and then click delete. Don't say, are you sure you want to delete? Yes. And now I can close out. And then if I exit out of SL, go back in to regenerate the menu, my filter query should be gone. Got a quick query, financials, and now my filter quick query is gone. So that was just kind of going over how to look at a query, how to do some items with the columns, such as reorder them or removing them, and then also deleting the filter quick query. Now let's say that I need to review the customer details, update some address information, and then save the information to an Excel spreadsheet. So what I can do is I can go in and go up here to accounts receivable, open up my customer details quick query view.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't do that, no.
From there now it's basically giving my list of customer information. I have, the name, address information, phone number, status, class ID, and statement cycle. So now looking at this, let's see here, and notice here that C420 Wingtip Toys doesn't have an address for it, but I know what the address is, so I'm just going to select that record. I want to do right click, and from there I see that I have the option of drilling down into customer inquiry or customer maintenance. So I'll just go ahead and go into customer maintenance. From there, I'm going to bring up my Wingtip Toys customer, and then go to the address tab, type in my address, and then save it. So yes, update the default shipping address. And now if I go up, look at my customer details to refresh it. Now I have my address in there. So again, just in my quick query view, I was able to go into the customer maintenance through the drill down program, modify it, refresh the view, and I can now see my information. So now let's say I want to copy this information because I'd like to have it in Excel, to do some more stuff with it. So what I can do is I can just click this button up here, which is Grid to Excel. First, what it's going to do is it's going to select all the records, and then it's going to launch Excel with the records in the spreadsheet. So I can look here, and now it's over into Excel. It also includes the filtering, so if I wanted to, I could also filter there. So if I had a bunch of data, I could then go into Excel, copy in Excel, and further analyze my data. Let's say that instead of copying all the records, I only wanted to copy a few of the records. I could go into my quick query. I could then select a group of records, right-click, say copy rows. Then, like say if I'm in Excel or something, I want to copy this stuff in Excel, I can just come over here, select paste, and now my information is also in Excel. Now, since I didn't use the Excel option, it doesn't have the filters because I just used the copy rows function. It's just going to copy the rows. If I actually use the export to Excel, it's going to add all the filtering available up there in the first row of the Excel spreadsheet. So again, that was a quick demo on how to export records to Excel, how to go into a drill down viewer and view information that's listed in the quick query. So how to make quick query views? There is a quick query developer's guide that's available in SL. You can either look through it through the help menu system, or if you've installed the user manuals, there's a PDF version of it. That guide is going to help you identify or create a SQL query view, create a base query view, add the base query view to the menu, and assign access rights to the base query view. Basically, when you create a quick query, it's only available to sysadmin. Once you get it created, then you can assign access rights for other people to view that quick query. And then there's also developer references. It's also in the help. Identifier, create a SQL query view. Well, you can use an existing SQL view or create a new SQL view on which the base you want to base the new base query view for quick query. Here's a note that if you do create a new SQL view, you must run synchronize all ownership and security update scenario on the database maintenance tab of the database maintenance screen. This basically lets the SQL server or the SQL view appear as a choice for the new base query view and quick query viewer. If you don't run the synchronized ownership and it's a brand new view, not a standard SL view, then when you go to create the quick query, you will not be able to see it there. So if you create a view, and can't find it, and when you go to create a quick query view, normally going to tell you have to run the synchronized ownership first. You also want to make sure that you use aliases on fields when creating SQL views to make it easier on the end user. So, instead of using the standard column names or field names in the table, you may want to make them more easier for the end user to understand. On creating a new base query view, you want to click New, then the Select Query View appears. You want to locate your SQL view that you want, and then click OK. That will then load the SQL view, and the results will appear. Then you can click the Expand, and then click to specify any filters that you want, and then save that as part of the base query view. On saving the base query view, in the base query view name, you want to specify a unique base query view name. That needs to be unique because that's what you're going to use to assign access rights. In the description, you also want to specify a description that you want to appear in the quick query viewer. In the related business module, you want to specify the module with which you want to associate the base query view. Again, that's for access rights and also so that it shows up in the menu in the right area. And then to select the menu item you want, include the base view. There's an option to include as a menu item, and that will add it to the menu system. In the screen number, specify the unique screen number. This is the screen number that you will use to assign access rights. You want to make sure that it is unique. And then you also want to specify any drill down programs. And then adding it to the menu. You can also look at, if you're not familiar with adding stuff to the menu, you can look at customizing menus in the System Manager User's Guide. Basically want to add access rights for group, user, and company. In screen maintenance, you want to make sure the view is listed there with the menu item of yes and the type equal to query. Use the menu maintenance to add it to the quick query under the appropriate section, whether it's financials, project, or whatever. And here's another tip. To find the view in menu maintenance and add it to the menu, click the Screens tab and then change the Show Screen Access for Group to the Show All Screens option. That will allow you to see it easily. Then assigning access rights. If you're not familiar with that, you can look at the System Manager User's Guide. There are 4 different levels we can assign access rights to: view, which basically allows the user to view the base query. If they have inserts right, they can view it, and also allow them to create a new filtered query view based upon that base view. Update rights gives them view plus insert rights, plus allows the user to modify the existing filter query views. And then delete gives them the view, insert, update, and also allows them to delete the existing filter query views. So with Dynamics SL 2011 SG1, there's been improvements to Quick Query, and those include paging to make it return the results faster, especially if you have loading a lot of records in the Quick Query. There's actually a better Excel output handling, and what I'm actually using here is 2011 Feature Pack 1, and I do agree that the export to Excel is a lot better than what it was in prior versions. And then they've also increased the performance, so it runs a little quicker too, and that goes along with the paging. So next I'm going to do a demo on creating base query views. All right, so here I've already created my SQL query view. And basically in this case, I just created, basically what I'm doing is I'm creating an order management query that basically will list out my orders and what steps they've all went through in the order process. So again here, we talked about aliasing. So in this case, I'm actually joining multiple tables. I'm looking at the SO event table, the SO header, and also the SO step table. So when we talked about aliasing, instead of coming out with just CPNY ID, I want to actually call it company ID, and then again, that company ID is what's going to show in the quick query view. And the order number, of course, I'm also aliasing that as the order number. The SO type ID and the event type, and then depending on what type it is, it's going to tell me what it is, whether it's a create shipper, modify shipper, credit hold, admin hold, etc. So again, that's what I'm doing, just pulling all the information from those three tables. I'm also looking where the order number is not new, the SO type ID is not a quote, and the orders are open. Like I said, I've already put this into my database, and I've already ran the synchronized ownership. So from there, I'm just going to go ahead and close. So in order to add a new base query, we need to go to Administration, and then we want to go to Quick Query Viewer. And when we go in this way, Quick Query Viewer, basically it loads up with the first quick query available, and then you can select if you want to actually view other ones or modify existing ones, then you can just go through and select whichever one you want to change or delete. But in this case, we're going to create a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and click New. And then it's going to open up my Select SQL View screen. And I know I named mine XQQ Order Steps, so if I scroll to the bottom, I can find it here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. Then once I select it, it's going to show me the results of that quick review. So I can see that I have my company name, or company ID, my order number, SO type ID, event type, the description, shipper if it was created, and then my time that it was done, and then the user ID that was associated with the changing of that step. So this information all looks good. So now I'll just go ahead and save. So now I get the save base query view. Again, the SQL view name is going to be disabled because that's what the name of the query view is. The base query name, I'm going to go ahead and leave that the same. I'll actually change the description here to order step status. Under related business module, I'm going to select order management. I'm going to select the item to have it as a menu item. On the screen number, I need to make sure that this is a unique number, and just because this is what I'm going to use to assign access rights. So in this case, I'm just going to call it QQORDST for order step status. I can then, if I want to, I can add a company filter of either none, current, which is going to be the current, and then if I select current, it's going to tell me what column. So of course it's going to be the company ID. I could also use all. In this case, I'm just going to use current company. And now the next thing I want to do is add a drill down program. So to do this, I just click the plus sign here. It's going to bring up my drill down parameters. So the first thing I need to select is a screen. So in this case, I want to launch the sales order screen. So if I right click, I want to be available to go right to the sales order. So I'm going to select the 4100 screen, which is sales order entry. And then I have options for parameters. So in this case, I need to pass parameters to it to tell it to open up, this order when I right click and select sales orders. So the easy way to find out, or an easy way to find out what the parameters that it requires, is to actually go back to SL. And in this case, I'm dealing with orders, so I want to open up the sales order screen. And then from the sales order screen, I'm going to go ahead and select an order. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a desktop shortcut. So I'm going to click on the actions. I'm going to go to navigation, and I want to select desktop shortcut. Now what this feature is for you can create a desktop shortcut, and then if I wanted to, I could go over here, click the shortcut, and it would open up that sales order for that order number. So basically I'm doing the same thing with drill down parameters too. So once I create that shortcut, it's going to create this file that's basically going to have my screen number and then DSL path as the extension. I can open this up with Notepad or any type of TextPad editor. I use Notepad++. So here I can see that basically the command is going to be, going out to my sales order screen. It's going to give me my navigation path and all that, but what I want to pay attention to is the key values here. So looking at this, I can tell that key 1 is the company ID, because I know that 0060 is my company ID. And I know I selected order 5140, so I can see that my order number is passed as key 2. So those are the two parameters I know I need to launch the specific order number when I click on the sales order drill down. So I can go ahead and close out of here. Go back to my drill down parameters. So my parameter 1 is going to be company ID, and parameter 2 is going to be the order number. So I'm going to go ahead and click add. And now, now if I right click on there, I'll have the option to open up sales order entry. Now let's say that, if I want to have one that goes in the shipper, I want to open up the shipper screen. So again, I can do the same thing. Again, if I was to go over here, select shippers. Like I said, when you create the desktop shortcut, make sure you pick a key field, because that's going to give you some information when you look at the file. So I'll go ahead and select an existing shipper, and then go to navigation, desktop shortcut. It's going to put it there, come and look at it, and again, I can see that the keys are going to be company ID and my order, or in this case, shipper ID. So I can close out of here, go back over here. So now I want the 4111 screen. Which is shippers. Then I also want company ID, and in this case, shipper ID. Then click add. So now I have set up my base query view, added some drill downs, so now I can save. I'll go ahead and click OK. And then from here, I can close out. And now if I X out of SL, go back in, regenerate the menu navigation, go to Quick Query, go to Orders, and I notice that I still don't have my information here. So what I can do is then, I know I need to go in and add access rights, so I can go into access rights maintenance, or actually, excuse me, yeah. I'll select the administrators group, companies. Here. Let's go to number one. Oh, they are very, so I've actually added it, or number one I've added previously. So here again, if I look at this, I select my, if I press up through here, I can see there's my QQORD, which I named it. Say order step status, click OK. And then I have access rights to view, insert, update, and delete. So I'm just going to give that demo group role the view access. Then need to go to administration, menu maintenance. In this case, I'm going to go to administrators. And then from here, with quick query views. In this case, I want to try to create the same type of what I have over here in my quick query. So I have orders, and then order management, and then my query. So underneath here, I'm actually going to create a new module group. I'm actually going to call that orders. And then I'm going to create a new module, be order management. And then what I want to do from here, then I need to, excuse me, get ahead of myself here. Let's go to quick query, and here I want to add a new module. Go orders. And then from underneath orders, I want to do a new screen group, and that will be order management. And again, I'm just building a tree just the same way as over here so that everything merges in together nicely. And then from there, now I just need to add my quick query. So I can go to screens, change my role to all, show all screens. And now if I look down through here, I should be able to find my sales order status. Oh, it's order step status, excuse me. Order step status, there it is. I can tell it's a quick query with a little logo on it. So then I can just drag it up underneath. And there's my order step status. And again, it's just calling the quick query viewer and passing it my quick query. So from there I can save and close out. Close out, regenerate the menu. With the quick query, orders, and now I can see that underneath order management I have my order step status. I can then click on it and now see my quick query view. So like when it comes to access rights are always granted to sysadmin. And then like I showed before, if I wanted to assign it to a different role or a group or user, I can then give access rights to that quick query view. So again, that's kind of a quick overview on creating a new base query, adding drill down programs to it, how to find the keys for the drill down programs, and then adding access rights and adding it to the menu. So with that, that basically finishes up the webinar that I had and the information I wanted to present. So now I guess we can open it up for questions.
Great, thanks, Brian. Let's see what we've got here. One question we have is, how do I adjust user access rights to see the quick queries? I only see the admin quick queries now unless I'm logged in as sysadmin.
So how do you see the other views?
How do I adjust user access rights to see the quick queries?
Well, then, all the access rights are controlled in the access rights screen. Let me go back to share that. So here, like before I did in demo, so here, if I want to do it based on user or group, so if I wanted to give access rights to a group, I would then select, say in this case, I'm just selecting demo role 2. I'm just going to do my company 60, and then down here, I should see QQ, that by search. There's my QQ ORD order step status. And then from there, I can then give them either view, update, insert, or delete rights. Once I save that, again, I would need to, if they also had a menu that was on them that they're related to, so that group's related to. So if I had demo role 2, again, I would have to go in, create my so in here, I could do one be quick query. And then once I add, I'd add a new module group, excuse me. I would add a new module. Again, this would be orders. And then I would do a new screen group, which is order management. And then from there, I just do the same thing where I just select on the screen. Select my order step status, drag it over there. And then I would save it and then log out of SL and go back in. So it's, in order to, one you need to do is give them access rights, 2 is add it to a menu that they're related, that they have, that's associated with that group. Once you give them access rights and add it to the menu, they should be able to view the quick queries.
Thanks, Brian. Great questions. If there's any others, please submit those. Again, you can use the questions pane on the GoToWebinar console. Don't see anything here just at the moment. We'll give it another minute and see if anything else comes in.
Okay.
I don't see anything else coming in. So just as a recap, if there are any questions that come in after we end the webinar, you can submit those questions to our email address, which is msdynamicsevents@gmail.com, and we can always follow up with you afterwards as well. So I thank you, Brian, for presenting, and thank all of you for attending. We do have our next webinar scheduled for, let's see here, it's coming up in November on the 28th, Wednesday the 28th from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and the topic for that will be year-end processing in Dynamics SL, and it will review the year-end updates, your W-2 calculations, printing and filing, and also closing procedures for the year-end. So we look forward to having you for that as well. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.